Morning.
All right, good morning. It is April 8th. This is the work session for the planning board. We have one item on the work session agenda this morning, which is Fisk Electric. Well,
We're here, yeah.
it was yours. All right. Kind of go through where you stand right now, some of the outstanding comments.
Well, Jerry was here, she revised the site plans.
Okay.
And they were approved by Mark Parrish, the engineer. The drainage,
Yep.
we did the report to the SWIP report. And we're ready to go. I mean, we've done everything else. We've just been sitting on this, waiting for this DEC.
Have you made contact with DEC, started that process with them?
Yeah. A while ago.
Yes.
Yeah, well, a while ago is a statement that we hear from everybody, so.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot that we're gonna be able to speed that up.
She
Mark,
also had a biologist too on board that could verify the site. With that, according to, that would be an appropriate thing to do.
Yeah, I think on the Thompson Road
Yes.
project, we had someone, so we've engaged, Mike Fishman again.
Okay.
So he's got a lot of calls, so, yeah, but I think, hopefully we can get it done.
Did he give you any kind of timeline?
No, I can verify it again.
So we'll do an assessment like you did with the Thompson Road.
Yeah.
So if you get that, that allows us to kind of move ahead conditionally on the DEC, not having any other changes. But we can't, the board can't approve anything without some kind of assessment of that nature.
So if the biologist approves and says there's no wetlands, which there isn't. Can Kevin start the bill?
Have them submit a report similar to the Thompson Road one.
Right, an assessment report. You can't start to build until you get site plan approval and then a building permit.
Right.
Yeah.
I know, but how long is it gonna take to get that? Cause I know he's, there's Kevin here, he's pretty anxious.
I'm like a
Well,
year and a
we're
half.
waiting on the, well,
It's like,
we didn't hear from you guys for a long time on this project. We need a wetland assessment before we can, so that's in your hands. The other issue that has come up is we had asked in one of the earlier meetings for like a truck turning. Truck, with the radii to show how trucks can turn around on here. So
what type of trucks are you getting in deliveries?
Day delivery tractor trailers.
So
Box truck.
full 53 footer,
Yeah, some, not very often,
but you will have, I mean, not very often. Doesn't really matter in the context of trying to plan a site that,
Yeah, once I
Get on and off.
they'll be tractor trailer.
so we'll need to see that movement. Your worst case movement on site.
You gotta show.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's that we can't come back to site plan approval. I mean, go through that and get approved prior to the biologist,
But you wouldn't get approval,
we wouldn't get it.
no, because we need to have either the report or the DEC on that, we can't do anything. I mean, the unfortunate is the process is just handcuffed us a little bit. We have to wait for that stuff.
Is this true on?
undeveloped green spaces like this.
Yeah,
Is this true
There's
for
a little more
everybody?
leeway.
Is this true for residential too?
The jury's kind of
Yeah,
out
we
on
haven't
that.
gotten good answers from DEC on that yet.
It's been vague on
Yeah.
the residential side.
And they,
The whole process has not been wonderful how they rolled it out, but this board decided, to try to do due diligence. Since we don't have to wait for DEC's approvals, which are taking forever.
Yeah.
That's why we're requesting wetland assessments. If you're showing that, there aren't jurisdictional wetlands, and they're not, there's nothing's being impacted, then this board feels comfortable moving forward with contingent approvals.
so the DEC is implementing this and they have no timeline to respond, it's just.
They have
Thank you.
90 days
yeah,
to respond to you.
When they don't respond in 90 days, you have to make a formal you have to formally send a certified letter to them, then they get another 10, at first I heard 10 days, now I think it's a little longer.
Yeah.
That they can respond again, I mean, it's a process.
Not fun.
No.
But you also don't wanna get out there and build half of your site and then have DEC say that they found something, because none of them are mapped now.
And it all falls on the property owner, all of the owners of this.
Right, well, and I think that they're showing up on the DEC maps as previously identified wetlands is what they used to call wetlands, if you did like the EAF mappers. So they show them, but they're showing them as previously noted, so it's not connected.
Have you jumped in any of those webinars yet?
For this, I didn't even see any coming up.
It's awful. It really
I'm
is.
just working on the new stormwater reg studies.
When did the DEC thing start?
January first count.
Do we have any inclination before that it was gonna happen, or they just sent out a letter on December 1st?
We knew it was going to change, but no one really knew how it was gonna change, all we really knew was wetlands weren't gonna be mapped anymore.
When did we know that?
February?
January, when they.
No, when we know that there was gonna be a change.
They claim that they.
I'm not being,
No, I know.
Yeah, I'm just
They-
trying to understand.
Yeah,
you know,
they claim that they, right, I mean, you go on these webinars and, you know, consultants and contractors and developers are saying, hey, this is crazy, right? I mean, we did a project, they went back over there, one of Charlie Brewer's projects, they went back to 1986 and said something, right? He's got a $40 million project that's on hold now. But when people push back and ask, how was I supposed to know this, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's kind of what.
right, and you've got people who've been speculating and holding property for years, right? And now all of a sudden, they're telling them that you can't build there. I mean, it's crazy. So their response back was, well, we had outreach starting in the spring of 2024. Well, right, I mean, you can ask Terry and Bob and myself, right? I kind of knew it was coming, but not to this magnitude,
We
nobody.
didn't know anything about the process or what it was gonna be.
Yeah.
We didn't know.
So if you look, just to give you a little history, I mean, they have like 11 items, and if one of these,
That's what Mike was saying.
one of these gets clicked off,
Wetlands of unusual importance, if you meet one criteria, then your wetlands are jurisdictional, it doesn't matter the size anymore.
would be a
And one of the criteria is you're in an urbanized area, which is almost the entire town
So-
of DeWitt.
So I mean, not
Yeah.
not to tell war stories, but Matt Naparella's got the Carmela, the old Carmela site that he's working on. And there's a little area probably about the size of 4 of these tables put together. And they're telling him he's gotta wait 90 days to get a JD off this, right? I saw him there at the UPS store the other day, he said, I flipped out on him, he said they had to carry me out of the room, right? I mean, it's just,
It's just good. It's like, I don't
it's
know.
crazy.
It's like I could have gone, and I'm not picking on you guys, like.
No,
you guys do.
I mean-
I could have gone to another township and had this thing up 2 years ago, you know what I mean? And it's like. Every time, it's like, is this the last roadblock? You know what I mean? Or am I gonna turn this in and then we're waiting another 6 months to do it again,
No, I think,
Cause I saw, like the building I'm in now, I sold that, like I'm leasing it, you know what I mean? I
Right.
sold that 2 years ago when I bought the land.
right,
And that guy wants me out, like, and I keep coming back to him every 3 months and being like, it's gonna be another, like, at the end of the day, he could. Like, I can go back there, he's gonna kick me to the curb and then. I've got 10,000 square feet of
Yeah.
stuff that I need, it's,
we hear you, I mean, it's not something that we're thrilled with, it's causing agita and the office there.
I get it.
Our board sits there and we look at these and we're like, this is, a great project, it ticked all the boxes, we should be ready to go, but, we're handcuffed, we can't make approvals until that happens, so. We hear you, I think we'd like to just work through what we've gotta work through with you, and then you're working with the biologist and. We can get that taken care of and then put a conditional approval on getting the JD. Believe me, we're not trying to hold up the process, this is
Yeah.
as frustrating as you are, as frustrated as you are, we are as well.
But we talk about this particular, I mean, showing the truck turning, getting that on there so that you've demonstrated to us that your deliveries will work, that you're not pulling a truck and parking an 18-wheeler on the street.
Right.
You can't get it into your site, that's important to us. You know, comments were made from some of the neighbors in terms of some of the vegetation, you know, the use of the trees to soak up some of the water that's there. I think you know, what you've got probably is about as much vegetation as you're gonna be able to put on because you use the remainder of the site for stormwater. The curbing, did we talk about the curbing?
No.
So commercial properties require curbing from the street. I don't know that that's on there right now, so you've got to show, you know, the radiuses, and then we usually go back to the inside, the first inside corner with curbing. I know you're sheet draining some of this stuff, so we can't put curb everywhere, which is fine, but you do have to curb the radiuses in back to those first inside corners.
You're talking about right here,
Yeah, so that,
these
so if
radiuses.
you talk the left side, start with the left one over there, that one doesn't really have an inside corner, so you're probably gonna go back there. The radius back to, you know, a part inside the site. You know,
How far down?
probably from there up, maybe there somewhere,
Okay,
That's the right-
same,
you know,
to balance it on both sides.
Right away line.
yeah, past the right of way line, at least on that. Yeah, and so that right side, you typically go all the way back to that first inside corner.
Okay,
Or the inside radius of that driveway.
you're seeing all the way up to here?
No, that's the left, that's the outside radius. So you're gonna go back to the right of way on the left side. Right in there.
Yeah.
Where the right of way is.
And then how about on the west side?
On the west. Let's talk the left side of that entrance,
That's west.
right,
Yeah.
the left side of that entrance.
Yeah,
You're gonna go radius up that peninsula and then back to the first inside corner.
okay,
That is typically what we ask for. The right side is gonna go radius up around into that first inside corner.
Okay.
Following?
Yeah.
Right, the rest of it, you gotta leave off because you're sheet draining.
Yeah.
Those directions, so.
Right.
You know, those are typically, you gotta add those, that's typically what we ask for in there for commercial development.
can it be concrete curb?
Wow, free curb.
Granite curb.
But other than that, I think unless Mark has additional comment, I think your stormwater looks like it works, the site looks like it works. There was comment made by a neighbor in terms of wanting to try and flip the building because what was it, the water drains better in a different direction or something?
Because of the septic system.
The septic with.
Oh, yeah, the septic adjacent, so just making sure certainly that drainage swale that you have on the east side is
Here,
right. On that side there, scroll down on the drawing,
yeah,
that drainage swales,
right
you
here,
know, they're protecting the adjacent property.
Right.
On that side, the plantings that you've got along that side have got to be 8 foot
Yeah.
in there, sufficiently screening the
Right.
neighbor to that side. Got any other comments, right?
No,
So-
I talked with you about this before, the ADA spaces, the loading stall has to be 8 feet wide as well.
Okay, I think it might be 8 feet.
Yeah,
but-
and then
this,
Yeah.
the striking spot,
Like if they're all the same size.
I think so,
Yeah.
and it could be 8, and then the actual ADA
Dimension.
space can be 8.
Yeah.
Normal ones are 9 or 10. Those are my 2 little things, that, the 8-foot screening on the west side, east side.
The species for the trees along on the road, are they ones that soak up water and,
The,
Like
in
to
the
drink?
front, the street trees,
yeah?
I think so, I don't know.
I'm trying to help paint an argument.
Oh, gotcha, yeah,
you know,
Since we're losing that big tree in the back,
right. We wanna be able, I mean,
Those are.
crab apple, hedge maple,
Yeah, with the serviceberry, hedge maple, yeah, 'cause those are. So the maples are generally good at absorbing water. And then there is probably a crab apple, and crab apples are good about that too. I mean, those are deciduous trees and they'll have deeper roots, so, you know, in general, they'll be able to soak up water. They're not like wetland trees, it's not.
no, but I mean, I think we're losing that one big one in the back, which is doing a lot for the site, and by adding. You know, 5 along
Right,
the street, you know, as long as they're serving the same function and drinking a bunch of the same water. You know, we're
addressing the same issue.
at least. Even,
And, cause there's overhead wires on that
Right.
side, so I think we're gonna use a really big tree.
right, and when we were talking about this before. You know, there's nowhere else really on site to put a larger tree. Because of the stormwater system that's. There, so,
And the, you know, the eastern red cedars will get pretty tall. As well, and they grow fast, and those are the ones on the side,
we'll get 8 foot,
they'll be installed at 8 feet, but they'll get. A lot taller than that, they grow relatively fast.
Anyone else online have comment? Mark? Anything site related?
No, I'll sit here. Thank you.
Board members, anything else?
I'm fine.
Nope, I don't have anything to add.
so Mike Fishman will be doing that, is that who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Maybe just have him look at that big tree too, as far as axe goes, I think this is gonna be that.
Yeah, everything
So
is.
he could kind of just like. Something, I don't think this is considered clearing, because it's one tree, but it's kind of in that range, so he could, yeah. Well.
I think the bottom line is. We're there, you gotta deal with DEC stuff, I mean, get your report. You know, make a couple of those little.
Yeah.
Changes in there, get us a final set. You know, we have that report, we have this, we can look to move the process forward. You know, but. Kind of where we are, I mean, make sure that, that's one of the big ones is just make sure that you can fit any of your traffic on site, so that turning radius is gonna be important. Anything else, Alana? Sure.
Tree clearing, I'm not sure. We might have to talk to DEC about whether you can. Make that tree down.
No tree, okay.
So
I'm gonna ask Matt,
Mike Fishman has for projects recently, yeah, and kind of, and the DEC was fine with it. So just have them kind of assess that tree.
Cause you're in the, clear season now.
So DEC, Mike Fishman's report, traffic, we're good to go.
Yeah, and some of the, just a little updates and
Yeah,
making
the
sure the
curbing.
ADA space is correct and that
When did the curbing come into effect? Because
that's been forever.
That's in our-
forever, because it's not another
Yeah.
curb within a quarter mile in that place.
Well, I mean, as the commercial properties develop in there, you know, if they come back in front of us, then we make them do that, that type of stuff. So this being new development, that all falls within the code requirement. So.
Here, you could probably work around that tree again.
Pardon?
Work with that tree.
Yeah, we can look at that.
Might just come back and do it later.
Yeah. That's just mostly in that stormwater area.
Just in that little corner.
Okay. I'll talk to Mike
What's that?
and see if we can even save it.
That's been like, I'm thinking it's Bruce Lee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's that. To be honest, I was gonna cut it down when I bought it.
Okay.
I don't wanna hear it. Don't say that outside this room.
Yeah, the thing's dead, I walked that property last week, it's dry, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the wettest time of the year, right? It's like,
But they have all that, there's all this criteria now.
I get it, but
We hear your frustrations.
it's just, it's
We're
been
trying to work.
tough, it's been tough to
Yep.
try to build a building in your guys' town has been expensive. You know what I mean? I go down the road, William Scottman's got 400 trailers piling in with nothing hiding it, Ciati's storing dumpsters in a mud parking lot, you know what I mean?
All things which the town is trying to correct.
I get that,
Yeah, so.
it just seems like I'm getting used as a punching bag.
Well, I mean, I would disagree with that one a little bit. I mean, I think
It's just been a long process.
the long process I don't disagree with, but you know, we had made comment and hadn't heard back from you guys in a long time, so the long process is not wholly on
When
the
was
board.
that? Was it?
Well, we were here in, I think in September. We wanted to get back on in November and said we couldn't do it until after the first of the year.
It was in July. I was reaching out to you guys in July.
Yeah, but we were back on, were we here in September?
No, we didn't get anything till January, I don't think.
I have July 18th.
Survey.
I reached out to you guys and you were waiting on the topo survey. And then I have August
Yeah, we did
27th.
the
I'm waiting
topo
on that.
survey. Yeah. That's what we
We
got.
had
Yeah,
about
it
6
changed
months where we didn't
Yeah.
receive it.
So we have a, you know, try to do a 3-meeting policy, you know, concept, preliminary and final. You know, what happens in between those meetings is really outside of our control.
No. I understand. All right, we're getting to the finish line, hopefully here.
Yeah. We're there, I mean.
Yeah.
Take care of all those little things and look forward to seeing you back as quick as we possibly can.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any other, on the agenda, no? All right, we'll close the session for this morning.